I welcome the host of the evening, Mr. Manish Porwal, Marketing Director, Alchemist Marketing Solutions. Manish, over to you.
Thank you, Farhan. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the fourth episode of Clay Dialogues presented by Alchemist Marketing Solutions and its real estate division, Clay. My name is Manish Porwal, as you already know by now. I'm the Managing Director of Alchemist, but besides that, I'm also your host for this e-talk show series where we go up close with the biggies, the leaders of the real estate industry. Normally, we know these leaders only the way the company and media projects them in their larger-than-life perspective, usually in a typical black or white. ये बहुत clean है, ये बहुत controversial है, ये बहुत ambitious है, ये बहुत risk-taking है, etc., etc., etc. They become heroes and villains for us like celebrities do for the larger world, don't they? What we do at Clay Dialogues is explore the grey of these people and get to know them a little more than just their projection and the stances they have to take for their company or the industry. It's interesting, it's revealing, and it's the first time. So please, each Saturday at 4 p.m., give us an hour of yours and we'll get stories from these people that otherwise may get drowned when they speak on those forums where they have to take a certain tonality, that of formality. If you happen to miss our episode, you can watch the archive on the Facebook page. That will continue to remain. But we would recommend watching live as there's nothing close to that. Let me give you a little sop out there. If you want to ask questions to the guests that we get once in a lifetime guests, you can write those in the chat box below only when you're live. And if we like them, we will ask them. And if the guest like them, he will answer it. Fair deal, right? For now, allow me to proudly introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, the man of the moment, the man extraordinaire, whose voice speaks for the industry and his magnificent structures speaks for him. He created and now runs one of the most the well-known, respected real estate companies in Mumbai, the Hiranandani Group. He's one of the youngest 70-year-olds you will meet. And probably because he's a Piscean, he takes to everything like fish does to water. Let's play the video, please. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the most well-accomplished man in the industry, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, the co-founder and managing director Hiranandani Group, the president Asocham, the president Neritco, and the provost of the newly launched HSNC University, Mumbai. He's been at the top of many, many associations and institutions, and he's live here with us. Dr. Niranjan, may I request you to come on screen, please? Wonderful. Lovely to see you here, sir. Welcome and thanks a million for agreeing to be on Clay Dialogues. How are you doing today?
All good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be with you, Manish.
Thank you so much, sir. We have been looking forward to this episode for a long time. Me, my team, and a lot of audiences who've been writing to us to get you on the show, and finally we have you here. So, sir, our dialogue today will go in 5 sections actually. And those 5 sections will explore a little more of you than what probably the world has known from the various interviews that you give on television every single day. Farhan, can we please show those 5 sections, please? The first section is about shop talk, where we will discuss the world at large when it comes to the industry. The second one is about you and you as a person, sir. The third one is about FNF connections, which is to do with your friends, your family, and so on and so forth. The fourth one is where we get audience questions in. And that will be an interesting talk to have with the audience. And the fifth one, where we wrap up the episode after that, is called Rapid Crossfire. Basically, sir, the episode has a mix of you in various methods, and we are hoping, I mean, the last section is going to be very, very interesting, I'm assuming, because we'll get some fun truths out of you. Let's see how it goes. Okay? Sir, shall we begin the first segment of the program, Shop Talk, where we talk with you on your work? Okay, wonderful. And sir, here, while my cue sheets, my producers are going to really not be happy about this, but they talk different. But I can't help and ask this question up front. And I'm sure you've been asked it several times. Take us through the vision which created Powai and Hiranandani Gardens as what it is today. What went through your mind? You were very young, I'm sure, maybe slightly inexperienced versus what you are today. What happened in your mind, and how do you kind of put this idea to real architecture?
Well, there is a story behind it. Before that, I was working at Lokhandwala complex. I built 11 buildings over there. Of course, each of the plots of 11 buildings, I purchased one at a time. I didn't have the money to buy 11 plots at a time. Built each one of those buildings. Every time I completed a building, I looked out. The buildings were very nice, considering the time and space at that point of time. But when I looked out of the window of any of the buildings that I completed, I was quite disappointed because adjoining me was a bad road, no water, no street lights, no stormwater drains, no gardens in the vicinity, nothing. So we did do beautiful buildings or good buildings according to the time then, but the entire infrastructure of this place was horrible. So it was very difficult for me to get satisfied with whatever we did. It was then my thought and dream that I would like to create something where if you looked out of the window, I would see only my project. So the buildings adjoining it would also be mine, the gardens would be mine, the area would be ours. So we would develop everything ourselves. And of course, Powai at that point of time was nowhere land. There was only one access on Sakiviyar Road, no other accesses. The road was so bad, people would be scared to go to that place in late at night because it was quite dangerous. And but the land was comparatively cheap, and nobody else wanted that land. So I think we got it on terms and conditions that we did. But the rest is history. But the idea was really to see that everything around what I made would also look beautiful. Of course, that was just a vision. A lot more goes into it when you actually get into the development phase. But that was how it was.
Sir, एक simple सा question है, डर नहीं लगा?
Simple?
Simple सा question है, डर नहीं लगा? डर नहीं लगा?
डर तो हमेशा लगता ही है क्योंकि हर एक प्रोजेक्ट आप लेते हैं ना तो उसमें कुछ ना कुछ कठिनाई तो आती है.
Right.
Project means there's going to be difficulties, but that is what life is all about. That is what entrepreneurs are all about. That is what developers are all about. You know that there's going to be problems as you go about it. हिचकिचाहट तो होती है, कठिनाई तो रहती है, but that is for any project that a good entrepreneur takes up. In terms of a new idea, he's bound to have problems. How can you not have problems? Otherwise, you don't need entrepreneurs.
The problem is one thing, but I was just trying to figure out an overarching personality like yours. आपको भी डर लगता है या नहीं? But I get the answer right, clear. डर तो लगता है. But that's nice. Going on further with the same question, sir. You know, when I came to Bombay, which was much earlier, but I'm sure you were established by then and everything. जब पवई की बात करते थे, लोग बोलते थे जंगल में मंगल है. You know, to go there is a problem, but once you reach there, it's such a magnificent, you know, the outdoors and the indoors, everything is so good. Did you find really a problematic to sell that, given the infrastructure, which was not in your hands? It's a government thing. You know, how did it work out for you? Did you have to go and, you know, go to the government a lot of times, discuss this approach, discuss the surroundings? What happened then?
Well, as I said before, and I'll say it again and again, the answer is yes. Infrastructure in the cities of Mumbai takes a long period of time before it can be developed. And a lot of work was put in by the company itself to help the government to really take off some of this infrastructure. But the connectivity did happen. Saki Vihar Road got expanded. JVLR got connected. There were some other issues where I spent the money for the purposes of the connectivity. Then there was when they were expanding that road, there was a problem because there were so many shopkeepers. We did a complete PAP, and in terms of rehabilitating all the shopkeepers who were to be resettled to expand that road. So we did our own contribution in terms of helping the infrastructure. But yes, the answer was by that time, slowly but surely, a larger number of people started coming to Powai in terms of their development also. So at that point of time, I was the first developer. And today there are 25 good developers in Powai. So it's not only Hiranandani's now. Well, similarly, it happened in Thane. When I went to Godbandar Road, we were just 2 developers on the whole of Godbandar Road. Today, you have 42 good developers developing on Godbandar Road alone. So I think we took leadership at an appropriate point of time, and people followed.
I agree. Leadership is somewhere, I think, the middle name of the group. I would believe so. So another thing, I don't know whether it's a philosophy or was it a compulsion at that point in time. You typically build before you start selling, isn't it?
Yes, that is the truth. But the point is very simple. You do that as most of the time. We did the infrastructure in a small sort of way. So wherever we go, we create good infrastructure. So we built the roads, we created the stormwater drains, we got the water supply, we got the electricity, we got the backup power, we got connectivity, all sorts of things we did. We built gardens. Around Powai, we have built 100 acres of gardens and forests. So a huge amount of infrastructure. Then we built the school, we created a games area, we built a hospital. So everything on infrastructure. We created the first supermarket in Mumbai and Haiko, which is still there. We created a game center, we created a go-karting track for children. So a lot of things had to go in order to complete what we call as a township. And I'm glad to say that a lot of people later on have built townships all over the country, emulating our example. And when I talk to them or meet them, they all tell me, we got this idea from Powai or Thane, and we came and saw that. And now, of course, we have, onto it.
Did you find strong criticism when you were building Powai or just after that?
Criticism, of course. Any good work requires criticism. And why forget everybody? Even my wife is my best critic. And she also tells me what I don't do right. And most of the time she's right and I'm wrong. So what's wrong with that? So critics is good. Criticism is good. But you have to learn to filter what you can really use and what you can't change. So somebody said that, your plot should have been somewhere else, should have been in South Mumbai. And if you can't change that, then you don't worry about such things. But if you can change it or improve it or furtherance it, then you get ideas which you can possibly use.
So is it a signature of the Hiranandani group, sir, that you will create almost a city within the city? Is that what you are all about as a person and as a company?
Well, we call it a township within a city. And but yes, you can call it a city within a city. And that's what some people call it. But we've always talked about it as a township. So that's what we are known. But I guess you could call it a city within a city because it's holistically complete. And people who are locked down now are quite happy to be there in virtue of the fact that everything that they need or want or everything is just 5 minutes walk away from their homes or their offices.
Dr. Niranjan, not only do you represent yourself and your company, but in many, many ways, official and otherwise, you represent the whole industry. I would like you to tell us, how do you comprehend today's time, the extraordinary time that we are in, for your company, for the industry, for India by and large, overall? How do you comprehend it? What should we gain out of it? How should we understand?
Well, you see, the point is very simple. Everybody in their life goes through ups and downs. Economics is also about going up and down. It's never a straight line. If it's a straight line, and if it is a straight horizontal line, then one is dead. So actually the movement of economic cycles and the movement of the heartbeat goes up and down. And because of that, we are alive today. So economics will always mean ups and downs. And there are times where the economy will go up and down. There are times when personal lives will be up and down.
Sure.
It will be where the personal economics are up and down. And the third, of course, is the challenges of the individual business that you are in. These are three different things, but it all comes to the fact that you have to overcome the situation. So in life, I've seen at least 7 ups and downs which have taken place in terms of the economic cycle. Of course, this probably is the worst. But having said that, it's not that the earlier cycles were not there. And we were able to overcome that over a period of time. And the economic picks up, and you also have to be resilient enough and be able to manage the situation at that point of time. So one, you have to save yourself on the day when when the curve moves down, whether it's for your own company, whether it's for the economy, or it's for the marketplace, or it's the question of liquidity, or it's all the three together. And so the situation obviously is very grim, which is today. However, the situation today is slightly different in the sense that the pandemic has created 2 problems, which is, as the Prime Minister puts it, Jaan or Jahan. So we have to now worry about Jaan first. And we have to look after the health, we have to wear our masks, we have to have social distancing, what I would say physical distancing, and those aspects of work where we don't do crowding and do not allow the virus to continue. So this is separate from the economic issues. We are mixing up the two. Right. The first, if we can arrange adequate health facilities in terms of beds, ventilators, and other things, we could open out completely, because this pandemic is not going to go very early. So the more the facility that we create, the earlier we open up the economy, the better it is for India. Because poverty and the closure down or the lockdown is going to kill as many people as the pandemic. So my worry is that how quickly can we reopen? And they have opened it phase-wise. However, the question would be that can we make enough health facilities for a further spike in the problem that takes place? And that's going to be a challenge for any government anywhere in the world, and including in Mumbai, including in India. The positive story, I would feel, is the story of Dharavi. I promise you, I believed that that would be the worst place on earth because of the congestion which is there in Dharavi, and it's unbelievable. However, our government, our local authority, the municipal commissioner, and the doctors and all were able to strategically solve the problem and bring a curve down in Dharavi. Now, if you can do it in Dharavi, you can do it anywhere in the world. I mean, hats off to the municipal commissioner, to the government, to the chief minister, to the health minister, and whoever else who's concerned with this problem. I promise you, we have to salute them, because I never expected that they would be able to handle it so well. And it surprised the world. And I believe this morning, WHO has also complimented our city for handling Dharavi and has treated it as a flag off for the entire world. So if you can solve Dharavi, what can you not solve? And I think that's what the Prime Minister also talked about, being Atmanirbhar. You may pick up good things internationally, but you have to solve your problem yourself. Nothing better than Dharavi's story for us and all. I do hope that all the other segments of the economy, all the other segments of the health issues will be sorted out with equal measure. And all we can say is that we have to fight it together. It's there. But economics must continue, and that is the challenge which the government is now faced with. Difficult one, but I'm sure we'll face it.
Agree on Dharavi point, sir. I've been myself for the last 2-3 months been wondering And I was actually almost dreading that something big will come out of there. But no, we've done a good job out there, I guess. So congratulations to everybody, whoever has been a part of this entire revival for Brazil, if I may say, in this stage. Coming back, sir, uh, and a little honesty on this one. Do you see that at the other end of Corona, will we have an industry which will have far lesser players? So the biggies will remain, and some of the smaller ones will have to fold up, pack their bags.
Yeah, this is a big question I've been asked not once, but maybe a dozen times in the last couple of months. My study indicates to me that for the first time, that it is quite socialistic in measure. There are biggies in trouble, there are smallies in trouble, but there are biggies who are doing all right, and there are smallies who are doing very well. It's more about individuals who have not been over leveraged, whether they are small or big. And that happens to be the major issue in terms of this pandemic story. Because of the recession, because of the lack of demand, because of the industry having to come to a standstill, the situation is that how to overcome this crisis of the moment, which means how do we, for the next 6 months or so, handle employment of your labor, employment of your workmen, work of your staff, your contractors, payments for the present. And how do you overcome this period of time, including the bank repayments, EMIs, or whatever it is there. The second part of it is to strategically say, what is the situation of my particular project or projects in the long run? So these are two different issues.
Sure.
It's problem of health of the moment, problem of the health or economics of the moment, and a long-term strategy. So
Right.
your long-term strategy may be very good, but if your health at the moment is bad, you could get a heart attack and die either economically or because of your bad health. But if you overcome the present, whether you're small or big, it doesn't matter. So the biggies also can die, and the smallies also can die in a bad situation. So I do not agree with you when you say that the biggies will be consolidating all. It'll be only the efficient which will consolidate and grow faster, while the inefficient will not be there. And it won't matter whether you're big or you're small. So you have to be big and efficient. You have to be small and efficient.
So is there a significant change? Any one, if you could tell us, that you have brought in yourself or the company that you lead, which probably, in spite of being in theoretical practice or theory out there, but was not in practice? Is there something that has changed in the last 100, 120 days about you and your company?
I think there are at least 50 changes which have taken place. So it'll take a long
the biggest one.
So for example, you're now more on digital. You're able to access people more through the net. We never had any meeting like this ever on the webinar.
True that.
This is the time that I've taken. So I've been speaking to the Prime Minister on a webinar. I've been speaking to the Finance Minister. I've spoken to Mr. Piyush Goyal. I've spoken to Mr. Gadkari. I've spoken to a Reserve Bank Governor. I've spoken through on TV. And in this 100 days, I must have done at least 500 interviews. Now, if it was a normal time, I promise you I wouldn't be able to do it. And we've had meetings, we have had conferences, we have had inaugurations, we have had, and in the evenings, we have had birthday parties on the net, on the Zoom call. We've had musical evenings. I've set up a university, which has happened in the last 100 days, the HSNC University, comprised of the HR College, KC College, and the BTTC College in Mumbai. So all that has happened during the closures. My son has set up the Asia's largest data center and the world's second largest data center of a tier 4 data center in Navi Mumbai during the time of the lockup and inaugurated it. So all these things have happened. So you cannot imagine the changes that have taken place are humongous. I have 25,000 students who are already online learning today, being educated online. One couldn't have imagined that last year. 6 months ago, if somebody had told me this, that you will be educating in this year 45,000 students on the online platform, I would have said, it's a dream world that we are talking about. And today it's already a reality. So changes are bound to happen in this situation. But I'm glad that we have the IT backbone and the infrastructure in the country in terms of bandwidth that enables us to carry on this dialogue as we are doing today, and getting people to be able to watch it now or in the future of the programs that are there. It wasn't available there yesterday. Also, almost 50, 60, 70% of my staff who are sitting in the office are now able to work from home.
Correct.
So also a possibility to do. My sites, of course, the physical work has to be done by workmen, and we have 25 to 30% of that happening. So it's a very positive story in terms of how the work is going to take place.
Okay, I want to take a little shift here in the gears, sir. You talked about your son and you talked about the future. Is any succession planning already in place? Is the training happening? What do we see? Do we see Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani working till he's 100, or do we see succession happening?
No. There are three answers to your one question. The first answer is the fact that I don't work alone. I work with my son Darshan, and I work with my wife Kamal. So three of us actually work together in terms of the family representation. Second tier we have is a huge tier of very strong professional people, and who have worked in my companies from anything between 15 to 35 years, some even almost 40 years of working with our company. So we have very, very good professionals who are sincere and committed to my company. So that's one tier of operation. The thought is that within the family, my son is my natural successor as far as the real estate business is concerned. The other businesses are being handled, that is the energy business, the industrial warehousing, and the data centers. In terms of this is all handled by my son, and I assist him just now. So to say that we work together, where I take the leadership as far as the real estate business is concerned, and I continue to do that leadership in real estate while he assists me. And he's also built the second tallest residential tower in the world in Dubai, the 23 Marina. And it's a beautiful building in Dubai that he has constructed. So he's done that on his own in Dubai. So in real estate, he's good, but he wants to go into newer waters in terms of energy, in terms of data centers, in terms of industrial warehousing and all these things. So he's taken that up with great vigor, and I just assist him along the way. And of course, I'm his bab.
So it'll be interesting to probably have Darshan therefore in the season 2 of Play Dialogues. Maybe that's where it is. So we'll probably invite him over for that one and hear him out. But meanwhile, who we want to hear is a representation of what others think about you from the industry. So we have somebody here who's talking to us about you. Please have a look at this video, sir.
Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani has been a pioneer, a visionary in the real estate sector. He has inspired many of us in this industry. I have personally known him for over 20 years. I've seen how he has conceptualized and successfully implemented the integrated township, a mixed-use township in Powai, in Thane, and rolled out many across the country. I've always seen him as a well-wisher of the real estate sector. He's seen the gaps, he's seen the issues and the challenges, and he has risen to address all those issues. And he's single-handedly represented all the stakeholders, not just as a developer, but he has looked at it from the government's perspective. He's looked at it from a tier 2 and tier 3 developers' perspective. He's looked at the international investors' interest, domestic investors' interest, and he's seen the challenges that the real estate sector faces in terms of perception issues. And he has fought last decade or so consistently to ensure that all the good in the real estate sector comes. So I salute him for doing a phenomenal job every day. And I'm sure he will.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before Dr. Hiranandani reacts to this video, I must tell you, for those who missed our episode 2, Mr. Sanjay Dutt was the chief guest, and Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani was the one who had to say a few things about him. And here is a mentee now talking about a mentor. So it's an interesting, give and take that has happened. But Mr. Hiranandani, what do you have to say on what Sanjay had to say?
Sanjay is a hardcore professional, a person who has got honesty and integrity. I know him now since around 20 years or so, I think. And right from the beginning, I know him as a person who has the integrity, the commitment, the drive to be able to fit a thoroughbred professional's view. Second, you can always trust him on what he says. This is something which is very important. And the fact that today he represents Tata Housing, the brand Tata, I think he fits the bill perfectly, because you couldn't have got a better person in terms of honesty and integrity who can do. The last is, he's a true friend. So whatever happens, Sanjay is a friend in times of crisis, is a friend in terms of thing, and he steps out of his way to do things for everybody. And I think that makes a world of a difference. There are some people you would remember when you have worked with them, and obviously that becomes a work-related connection or connectivity with a person. So when you have worked with the person, you contact him. But here he endears you to the heart. So there's a very big difference between the Sanjay that I know since the last 20 years than the professional which most people must be knowing him. So it's a very endearing person to whom you have asked, and he's been very kind to me in terms of.
It looks like the Clay Dialogues 4 is an extension of Clay Dialogues 2. We're hearing more about Sanjay. But I must tell you that his voice is actually the voice of the rest of the industry that we spoke to while we were researching and we were talking about you, etc. It's absolutely humbling the way people talk about you. But I'm amazed at that. But sir, before we move on to the next section, we have taken a lot of time in this section, more than usual. But I must ask this question to you. Do you believe you have a competition? Who is your true competition as a leader, as a company? And you have to be truthful, sir, in this one.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest competition to Niranjan Hiranandani is Niranjan Hiranandani of today. So what happens is that in the last 40 years of my business, my whole idea has been that can I do better building than what I did the earlier one? Sure. Can I build a better project than the previous project? Can I make a better speech today than the speeches I've ever made?
Sure.
Can I have a better whatever in terms of commitment, in terms of social commitment today as compared to what I've done yesterday? So if you're asking me, Manish, who's the biggest competitor of Niranjan? It is Niranjan himself, because I'm constantly wanting to improve myself and learn from other people how to improve. So that's my biggest competition.
And as a company?
How I look at other people is slightly different than what you are saying. I look at other people not as competitors, but as mentors. So every person I meet, whether he's young, whether he's old, whether he's good, I try to find out what is the good in him. So there are many small builders whom I see doing some extraordinary work in a particular building. And I call my architect and I tell my people, look at that building which this person has done. Doesn't it look very beautiful? Why can we not pick up some ideas from what this person has done and incorporate it? And also look at big developers. My earliest mentor was Dr. Maker's father, who built the buildings in Nariman Point and all these things. He was my mentor. The Rajas also have been my mentors, who built so many projects in those days and time. Mr. Lokhandwala, who built the Lokhandwala complex, was my mentor. He gave me an idea of the scale of operations that really one could get into. Mr. Mukesh Ambani is my mentor. The kind of scale and operation and execution capacity. I had a good fortune of him taking me to Jamnagar 20 years ago, about, to see what is the scale of operations. And I tell you, even today, the kind of size of work that I do falls into pale as compared to what Mr. Ambani did even 20 years ago. So the scale of operation. So you don't look at a person as a competitor. What you try to do is to look at them as mentors of yourself and say, all right, can I pick up something from this person and make him or her my mentor? And once you do that, it's okay if you copy the person or you emulate the person, because then you treat that mentor as a guru in that subject that you are really wanting to do. So it doesn't matter. And there is a person next to me who's next to me for last 45 years. She happens to be my wife, and she's my teacher still. So I keep on learning from her, and she keeps correcting me of what I do wrong today. So I've got a homegrown person who will tell me what to do right from wrong. So it's all about that. I don't see external people as competitors. I see them as mentors, really, to look at that. So I'm constantly a learner from anybody and everybody, young and old, and I'm willing to learn today. One thing I must tell you about myself, and I like to show off, is the fact that I'm a quick learner, and I learn fast, and I try to execute what I learn quickly. I think that's my competitive advantage, if you're asking me.
And probably that'll give me an edge to ask you the first question of my next round. The next round is only about you as a person. We've obviously heard you talk about your business. I would love to go on that, but I think we'll move on to our next section, which is called You Talk. You Talk is about you as a person and not just as a professional. And the last thing that you said about speed, maybe that gets continued in this question that I wanted to ask you. So what are the 3 words that will define Niranjan Hiranandani, not even Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, as a person, not in a suit? What are those 3 words you think define you as a person?
I really don't know. I haven't thought of it that way. But I would say that I'm committed to things, people. I'm committed to ideas, thoughts, and this thing. Number 2, that I believe in trusting people and also being trusted. So I work with mutual confidence with people who are working with me, who are my contractors, who are my suppliers, who are my people. All of them are part of my thing. So I think it's about that. And the third thing would be that I work very hard. And I don't believe that, I believe that God has given us a birth and a death. And one should make the maximum out of the time that God has given us. So you don't know the birth date of yourself, and you don't know the death date of yourself, but at least you can make the most of what you have in between. So I do believe that one should make the most of what is there in between. And so I'm now 70, and I continue to do lots and lots and lots of things, and I love to do whatever I want to do. And I hope to God that God gives me the health to be able to continue to work till He takes me away.
I know a lot of interesting, God willing, that will not happen very soon. Don't worry, for sure. And we're not worried about that one. And why we're not worried is also because we do know that you keep some great health practices. Farhan, can we show some of those pictures? I mean, which are, I see Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani in marathon. I see him paragliding. We see him, with people doing stuff in yoga and gym and everything. What's your fitness mantra, sir? At 70, you look no one day older than maybe 55 or 60 at best. How do you manage that?
Well, let me tell you a story of my bad health. Niranjan Hiranandani, and not at 70, but at age 48. I went to Campion School. That was my alma mater. And I was the old boy of the school at 48. And I went there, and it was a sports program. And they arranged an old boys run of 20 meters. Because we were old boys who were there of the school. So we were just given to run 20 meters. I finished running 20 meters, and I was panting.
Oh, God.
So So, and I just thought, because from the age of 25, 26 till the age of 48, I was working from 7 a.m. to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and hardly any day, hardly breaks on Sundays and stuff like that. To set up my business, I was learning because I was the first generation businessman. My father was a doctor, very illustrious doctor. And, but my health was very bad at age 48. I suddenly realized that I needed to do something about it also along with my work. And so I changed my practices, of course, slowly and but surely I did. And I went on a different path. Let me do a fast forward of age 69, not 70, because now I'm lockdown condition. But let's talk about age 69, which is last year. I gym 3 days a week. So I exercise in the gym 3 days a week. I do yoga 2 days a week thing. And I run 5 kilometers minimum in Priyadashini Park at Nepean Road, at least once a week on Saturdays or Sundays. And I, of course, marathon minimum once a year, at least the 10-kilometer one in order to do it. And I don't pant after that. So it was from age 48 to age 69 that I made that paradigm happen, which is quite interesting, because I thought that by the age of 60, I would probably have a heart condition and have to retire at age 60. But I'm still working at 70 simply because I got back my health. Fitness, sorry, not the health is of course there. That's up to God. But your fitness regime really makes a world of a difference. So if you can do that kind of regime, then you can be more fit in order to do whatever else you want to do.
Get that. Absolutely get that. So it's an inspiration, not just in business, but also how you handle yourself at this age, where genuinely you do look much, much younger, and thank God for that. Coming back, sir, ये सब तो ठीक है. अब थोड़ा दूसरी तरह की पिक्चरें भी देखने मिली हमको. So I want Farhan to show us some other pictures, and I want to know, sir, what is happening here. चलो ये भी ठीक है. That's also all right. Fitness, etc., etc. Go on, please, Farhan. ये क्या है? और ये तो फिर भी ठीक है. चलिए वापस आगे. सर ये तो मजा भी है. If you're going to do this, then Salman Khan का क्या करेंगे? And the last one, please. अब ये ज्यादती है, sir. So my question is, how do you keep so young at heart? What's happening out there? You sing, you dance, you're with the divas out there as a hero, giving Shah Rukh Khan a run for his money. What's happening there, sir?
Well, I work very hard, and I enjoy my friends and this thing. Fortunately, all the girls that you showed are my wife's friends. So
fortunately, yes.
I'm saved, you're given the right picture. And so I have no problem tonight. But the story goes as such that I do enjoy every moment of my time. I enjoy my work. There are many people, I always speak to people and I tell them that there may be people who say they like their work. And that's the most, most unbelievable part of it. Because if you just like your work, how can you work very, very hard on it? But if you love your work, you cannot but like it. In the sense, do that very, very well. But if you continue to just like your work, it's not going to work for you. So if you love your work, if you love the partying, if you love your friends, if you love the things that you do, everything that you do, you should love it. And the moment you love your things which you do, which is including your work that you do, including the fitness regime that you do, it becomes a part of your life. You don't have to worry about the work, because it's just part of you and you enjoy everything that you do. So whether it is doing fitness, whether it's going out on a public stage, whether it's a dance party or anything, life is to be lived in its fullest. And I don't believe that one should do it half-heartedly.
Got it, sir. Geo Khulke, I got that completely, and I'm sure the audience is listening to the fantastic and the youngest 70-year-old probably they would have seen. Coming back, sir, to slightly something which may be serious or maybe as wide open to interpretation. Your younger brother, Surendra Hiranandani, was the co-founder of the company with you back then. And I'm sure every business comes with its own set of challenges, priorities. How do you manage? Right now, also, your wife and your son works with you. How do you manage this whole thing of personal and professional, even when it comes to the family business? Does it work easily? Is it difficult? Isn't it easier to work with professionals? How does it work for you, sir?
Your family, when it comes to my brother, we are brothers in personal capacity and we love each other and we have that relationship. When it comes to the business, we are partners and we would treat it like you would deal with a partner in terms of financial capacity. So there's no difficulty whatsoever. The business of money should be treated in the family like a partnership, and the relationship on a personal level should be like a brother. You'd go and give your life for your brother and be able to live that kind of way. So my relationship is fantastic with my brother Surendra, and we've worked together very hard, more than 35 years together, built the company. He's a genius in terms of engineering, and he has huge, strong qualities in person in terms of development ideas. So it's been a pleasure to work with him in all these years. And again, we have been very complementary to each other. So there were certain items of work where he would love to do, and I would take up the other matters, which he left to me. So we worked extremely well. Now, the second part of it is also equally important, which you mentioned. I have a team of professionals who have worked with us for more than 25, 30, 35 years. They are also my family. So while they work professionally, they are part of the Hiranandani extended family. Now, so they would be equally my family members when it comes to a personal relationship too. But when we work professionally. So whether it's with my brother in the business or it is with my professionals in the business, we work extremely well with fondness and love together. And at the same time, when we do the professional work, we do it very professionally because that's the needs of the business. And as you grow and expand, you have to work professionally. So there's no alternative to that.
Sir, I've got a question also from the audience, and I'm mixing it with another question I have. Your father was himself very hugely accomplished Padma Bhushan, Dr. L.H. Hiranandani, right? How do you remember of any one episode which probably changed your life with him that you would like to talk about?
I was very close to my father. And there was a standing joke till my father was alive. He died 5 years ago at the age of 96. There was a joke between me and my wife that when Niranjan was born, namely when I was born, the doctor cut the umbilical cord to the mother, but forgot to cut it with the father. So in reality, I was extremely close to my father, and he kept on teaching me lots of things until the day he was dead. And he was a great learner. So I'll share one story of his. At age around 82, he lived till 96. At age 82, one day in the morning, we used to have tea in the morning together. And he told me, Niranjan, I'm going to go to Germany to learn a new operation. I said, what? Dad, are you crazy? At age 82, you want to go to Germany to learn a new operation? What is this operation and why do you want to learn at age 82? He says, but I want to learn. It's good to learn new operation. This is the Dr. Plester in Germany. And if I go to him, then, he has discovered this new operation, something to do with the ear, and I would love to learn it today. So I said, but is it this Dr. Plester, the same doctor who came to learn you 5 years ago or 6 years ago, an operation which you had actually discovered? So he said, yes, same doctor. I said, now you're going to learn from someone to whom you have taught. Now you're going to go to Germany. So he said, yes. And he went to Germany to learn this operation. Unfortunately, at age 83, my father developed Parkinson's, and hence he could not do much of that operation. Otherwise, he would have probably continued to do that operation. He was a head and neck surgeon. He used to do cancer surgery and all that. Until age 82, he was quite a voracious operator. So my father and I had a very wonderful time together. But more than anything else, he was a good teacher. So he kept on teaching me, and he was my mentor. And in my whole life, he would tell me what to do and what not to do. But if I didn't listen to him and I failed, he never told me that, look, I had told you so. He would never do it. He would just go to the next topic and tell me what to do and what not to do. So that continued to go till the end of his life. So it was always this, and I missed that part of him completely, because that was one mentor that has gone away. And it was the closest person to me as a mentor.
That's lovely, and I think very, very emotional, I'm sure you are about him as well. Sir, थोड़ा सा लाइट करते हैं. एक कोई secret talent तो होगा जो सर किसी को भी नहीं मालूम है. Nobody knows about you. One secret talent. Tell us about it.
I don't know. I don't have any secrets. So I can't have a secret talent. So everybody in my organization, in my family, will all know all my talents or whatever it is. So I'm quite an open book. So I don't think there is something that I can think of which is hidden from
people. Do you watch movies, sir? Do you watch movies?
I do watch movies, but I'm not very passionate.
Not much. Is there any one dialogue which can define you as a person? Ever you've heard?
I think मैं बहुत जल्दी सीखता हूँ. कोई भी चीज हो, आपने बता दिया तो मैं register करके उसको use करना start करता हूँ. I immediately learn from you. So if you're talking to me and you pass on some information or you say something that you think will be there, I will immediately register it and say, okay, can I start tomorrow morning to do that thing? So if so I would meet anybody, and if he or she would give me an idea, I think that's my biggest talent, to be a learner. So for example, we are starting a new university where I've got 14 colleges, I've got 2,000 teachers and staff. In the last 100 days, we have been able to get all the colleges, 14 colleges online. We've been able to get everybody to do that. They've learned how to teach online, how to do all these things and complete it. Now, if you had asked me in January whether that is feasible for me to do, my answer would have been, don't be stupid. That's not my capability of doing it. But called to a crunch at any point of time, one has to learn to do, and one can do it well. So I would consider myself a good learner, and hopefully I will learn to be a better executor.
Lovely, sir. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a challenge for next time when we call you, and not because of this will you not come, but we would love to hear a dialogue of Amitabh Bachchan from you, because in personality of real estate, you are right there. Joking. Okay, let me move on at this time to the third section, sir, the FNF connections, which is to do with your friends and your family. And while we start this one, I have a very simple question, which actually, you've been talking about your wife, right? Mrs. Kamal Hiranandani. I want to know how many decades have you been married? How did it start? Is there a part of the love story that people should know and will be interesting? Tell us about it.
Well, you're going to be disappointed with the story, but it's interesting. Again, it relates to my father. I went for a marriage function, and I was standing there with my father, and there were three ladies, girls, I would say, standing about 40 feet away, 30 to 40 feet away. So my father pointed out these three girls and said, can you see that girl? So I said, which one? Because there were three girls standing together. And he said, no, that girl in that dress. So I said, okay, yeah, I've seen that girl. How do you like her? So I said, at this distance, she looks nice. So I said, wonderful. And but she looks very young. And she was, because she was 16 and a half. And he said, then my dad asked me, would you want to marry her? Will you marry her? Sorry. So I looked at Dad and I said, Dad, are you serious? So he said, yeah. We know the family. She's distantly related to that person and this and that. And her brother had got operated last month. And she had come to the hospital. And she looks very attractive. And I think very fit for you and a good family. Do you think you'll marry her? And I looked at Dad and I said, yes.
Nice.
So that's the love story. That's a love story of 40 feet away. And then, of course,
Kamalji, the other side of the story.
Yeah, so so we met after that, but we hardly met, and we agreed to get engaged. And then after a little long engagement, we got married, but a year and a half engagement, and then we got married. So it's as simple as that. But it's been a fantastic relationship with Kamal.
Wonderful. I've asked this question before to somebody else, and I got a very obvious answer. I'll ask you again. If there's an argument, who wins? He or you?
Only her.
Wonderful. So you're following the normal path. Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, what we know is, even if you're a legend like you are, when you're Niranjan, Hiranandani, your wife wins the argument. That's very, very clear. Okay. Sir, you talked about your wife as also your best friend. Who besides her is somebody who's a childhood friend? Has he left something with you in your mind which has made you the person you are? We would like to know that.
Lots and lots of people, actually. I do, as I told you before, I wish I could tell you just one name, but there are hundreds of people who have impressed me in their lives. From school time, when I had school colleagues, Mustansir Burma, a student who was a good friend, and he became TIFR, head of TIFR in Mumbai. I had Vallabh Bansali, who was my classmate in school. We did this. Satish Tibrewala, who became a doctor and a friend right from my younger ages. Then my school friends, tremendous number of people who have been close to me. Atam Agarwal. Then in college, I had lots of friends. Harsh Pariwala was my classmate, good, and continued to be very close to me. Mr. Deepak Parekh, of course, my guru of sorts, a mentor and teacher to me. Mr. Uday Kotak is a good friend and teacher to me, a mentor. And so that's why I'm saying, I promise you, you can spend the next 60 minutes and I'll keep on rattling out names of people who...
So I get that. So you are Vishwa Bandhu, as they say. I've understood that. By the way, if the chairman of Marico is your friend, is that the reason why the two logos look so similar? They're very similar.
Which logos?
Marico and Hiranandani.
No. I think that's just a coincidence.
Okay.
But really, no. But we were classmates together in Sydenham College. And he went to IIM Ahmedabad and I did my chartered accountancy. So, but we got together and we continued to my friend. And his wife and my wife are also very close friends.
Lovely. Sir, the last question in this particular one. You hold so many hats together. You are the chairman of your company. You are the president of Naritco and various other associations. Does that take a toll on your time with the family? And how do they cope up with this?
Well, my son and family are in Dubai. My daughter and family are in London. Right. So we are on FaceTime all the time. So they do take my time, but it's such a pleasure to be with the grandchildren on FaceTime and fun like that. And whenever we get vacations, we go to them and we have a good time. So that's the family. With Kamal and I, we are all here together. So the two of us bond very well. She has different ways of living life and she has her own things to do. And we value our own me time and we value being together too. So we have both the things in terms of things wherein we do separately lots of things and we do some things together. So it's like a mix and match of both things, which are beautiful.
Okay. At this stage, because we are running horribly late and we are holding you back from other things, we'll move on to section 4. Farhan, I'd like you to take over. Maximum of 2 questions from the audience. Can you do that, please, for me? open house. Farhan?
Yes, thank you, Manish. And there are a lot of questions which are flowing in, but there are some interesting ones which I would like to ask Niranjan ji. There's somebody called Ekta Bid who's asked, can you tell us one memory from your childhood which you cherish the most?
One memory from my childhood. I didn't
One
catch.
memory from your childhood.
Lots of memories, but which would be relevant to today, I would say that, this is one I can remember just now, was a teacher in my 5th standard school. Her name was Miss Merspan in Campion School. And she comes and, in Campion, we all believe that we knew English very, 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 very well. And we're quite arrogant about the fact that we're good speakers in English. So she comes to the class one day and then tells us that you people don't know how to speak good English, which was a shock to all of us because we always considered ourselves good speakers in English. And she said, you're so horrible in pronunciation that, she marched out to the principal's office and got permission from the principal for the next 30 to 45 days to teach us good pronunciation and suspend teaching English. And at the end of 45 days, I promise you, I learned the difference of how to pronounce W, U, from V, VAT. Now, I still am grateful to her because I don't remember a single school or a single teacher ever thinking that you need to teach good pronunciation. Now, these are small things in life, but you still remember that if you want to really reach somewhere and you want to be complete in things, whether it is speaking English, doing things or anything, there are things that you need to do more and more perfectly. And you make a world of difference if you can know how to do things right. And since then, I always try to learn how to do things right. And this was right from 5th standard of school, where you're very good at English, but at the same time, you don't know so much. So unless you really don't get into it and really work on it, you can't be very good at it. So you got to keep doing things. In India, we are very fond of the chalta hai attitude. Once you could probably do something, you think, oh, abhi theek hai, chalta hai, humko aata hai ye kaise karna. And you really don't be diligent enough to do it well. While there are people who would continue to say that, okay, can I do this better? And that, I think, is a good learning for me right from standard 5 of my school.
Actually, I agree, sir. Chalta is a bigger pandemic than many others that we witnessed in our lifetime. It just goes from one person to the other, but everybody thinks it's casual and can be done. Second question, please. Farhan, quickly.
If given a chance to start over your life, what will be the one mistake you will love to avoid?
Sir, I'll repeat it for you if you couldn't hear it.
No, I understood the one mistake that I made. My friend, I made so many mistakes. If I had to do it again, you wouldn't recognize Powai because it would be totally different.
Oh, wow.
Second part is that every building that I've made is better than my earlier building. So my last best building would be the first building in Powai. So it's all about how to improve myself and do better and better. So the point is the last building I've made in Powai will be a benchmark for my future buildings. So it's all about that. So how can it remain the same? Something I made 35 years ago, how can I now go and benchmark myself with that? So it'll obviously be different. It'll be better. In fact, it'll be supremely better.
So very wonderful, sir. I would take on back here and say that's why you're inspiration, the way you are. Farhan, could we please play the video that we wanted to play for sir, which also exhibits the emotions of some people who have worked with him, close to him, and feel that he's a leader even though he's not a formal leader for them. Can we do that, please?
Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, my father figure. I met him once I think many years, maybe some 35 years ago, with my father Murari Chaturvedi at Saraswati Sadan when he used to sit in Santa Cruz West. A jubilant personality when I was so young actually. And there was an I was looking at a person who is idol to me. And one thing is common in between all the legendaries in real estate, that exponential research material they are having. They are so engraved in the industry that when we call them that they are institution of themselves, it is so lesser words for them to speak about them. When people like him tell government that what exactly we want, I remember two basic milestones which we did it for the industry. In 1991, the first time there was a TDR concept when the Dr. Hiranandani did it, and with his untiring efforts when he was speaking in various platforms, that he could actually manage to scrap the Urban Land Ceiling Act, that is a draconian act in the industry. And hats off to you, sir. And why accommodation time will not forget, because this is the 33rd year or 34th year that sir has graced the occasion of the annual award function and annual anniversary function. Every time he comes with conditional way, the only we call him and he says that Sanjay, just send one email and I'm there. And in spite of all his busy schedule, I believe the blessing comes from him with, of course, when such a humble person, he comes with all his plethora of information, with his gestures, with his postures, with his exponential good skill of public speaking. What an orator is, I don't have words to describe. It's just like a father for us, for all of us, as far as the accommodation camps is concerned, and personally blessed.
Thanks, Farhan, for this one. Sanjay Chaturvedi for you, and I'm sure you know him for many years now, represents what a lot of people who were like work colleagues have become, like family, that way. So great. Let's move on to the last section, and which is probably the most interesting section that we have for you, sir. The only rule in this section is that you have to answer honestly and fast. As fast as possible. Okay? So shall we begin? Rapid crossfire. Wonderful. Okay. Question number one, sir. Choose one. 70 years of accomplishment or 30 years yet to accomplish?
30 years.
Read or watch or rather speak?
Read.
Suits or t-shirts?
T-shirts.
Gymming or running?
Both.
You have to choose one. Which is the bigger one?
Gymming, because I do it more often.
Okay. If at all on social media, Facebook or LinkedIn?
Facebook.
One secret ambition yet to fulfill?
My next building.
Aha. Okay. This one, Kamalji, I hope you're hearing. Most favorite heroine from yesteryear?
Oh, yesteryear. Madhuri Dixit, because I think she had the most nutcut personality.
Wonderful. And most favorite heroine from today's age?
I don't know. All of them look very good.
Okay. You averted that very nicely. Full points to you on that. Okay. For you, if you have to live, will it be an independent bungalow versus amenities wala high rise?
I think high rise.
Okay. The most embarrassing question you've ever been asked?
Embarrassing. I can't. I'm not usually embarrassed. I'm more embarrassed by introductions more than questions.
Mhm.
I'll tell you one quick one story.
Yeah.
I went to one architectural college 30 years ago, 25 years ago, and I was introduced by a junior architectural student, and she introduced me as a person who has not been, who, she said, she introduced me something like this. Uh, all people create history, which means his story, history. It is Mr. Hiranandani who has created geography. And I promise you, I got up to speak, but I was only thinking about what she said. And it was one of those times when first time, I think I fumbled while starting to speak because my full concentration was on what she said. And it was so beautiful introduction. So I was embarrassed more by this little girl than I have ever been by any question that anyone has asked.
Wonderful. I completely second that thought, sir. I will remember that. That's a good one. Absolutely a great pickup line, if I may say, for you. Wonderful. Okay. Work from home or work from office?
Office.
Okay. Project which is not yours, but you wish it was.
None.
Come on, sir. Give somebody else a credit this time.
No, I don't want to possess anything which is not mine. I'm not that type of a person. So I wouldn't want anybody else's property. I'd like to create my own.
Okay, that's all right. But which one is it that you really like, which is not yours? Of course, you like your own babies, and we all love them. But something else that you think is phenomenally great project.
I would look at. I was tremendously impressed more than 30 years ago by the township in Singapore,
Okay.
and I learned from them that you need to create good infrastructure to create a township. And I still think that that was one of the finest ideas that I have picked up in my whole life. That it's not only about the buildings that you create, but the infrastructure around it that you need to marry with that. And so it was Singapore really that still reminds me of that. In India, I don't think people create good infrastructure.
Correct.
So even if you make the best of buildings in the world, I'm not impressed because around it, you may have slums, you may have other things, you don't have good roads, you don't have connectivity, you don't have railways. So the sad part is that how do I get impressed by a building which is an island in the middle of the ocean? What you need to do is to integrate that with townships and things like that. And I think that's where Dubai, Singapore, and other places really excel.
Fair point. I'll move on to the next question. Old Hindi melodies or new age beats? What is it for you, sir?
I enjoy the old ones, but I dance on the new ones.
Nice, not bad. Homemade seal bhaji, sai bhaji, or is it Western gourmet?
Oh, my sai bhaji.
Has to be. A quick getaway from you is?
Dubai with my grandchildren or London with my other grandchildren.
Nice.
2.5 hours away or 5.5.
I don't know whether you've already answered this question, but I'll anyway ask it. Your celebrity moment where you felt like a celebrity?
I felt like a celebrity, I think, when I went to Dubai and I was introduced as Darshan's father because he did the 23 Marina and I was a celebrity because of him.
That is so sweet. Nothing can matter for a father more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Okay, great. Your favorite architectural benchmark?
Benchmark. There is no such one benchmark, but Hafiz has been my architect and he's my benchmark for so many things.
No problem. Your favorite competitor?
None.
Okay. If you're not in Mumbai, which city of the world would you want to be?
Dubai.
Dubai. I thought so. If you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? And I think that question also came from somebody. So what that one thing, if you were to change, what would that be?
I think attitude, the basic
Really?
thing,
Okay.
attitude in terms of how you really look at people. I uh, I have really learned that now. Uh, Earlier, I wouldn't be able to understand why people just did what they did. Now I understand a lot more about human nature, and I know what to listen to and what to ignore. So over a period of time, you allow the space to people who are different than yours and accept everybody. So I have no people whom I dislike anymore.
The last question of the day, sir, before we let you go. One thing that you would like to tell Mukesh Ambani when you meet him next?
I admire you a lot. There are very few people in the world I look up to as much as I do to you. You have set benchmarks which I hope to God that I will one day be able to match 1% of you.
Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, even legends of ours, our industry, look up to some other legends, and it's amazing to always know that there is a progression and there's a growth path out there for everyone. Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, I am so thankful on behalf of all the audience, on behalf of the crew, and all the people behind Clay Dialogues at Clay and at Alchemist. And at this stage, I'd like to also introduce my team. You get to see my face, but the others who are behind. Farhan, if you could just please show the production team. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Farhan, who's the CEO of Clay. Upasna, Anandita, Mandar, Rishi, who's the chief architect of all of this, Kalpesh, Rohan, Shivam, Suyash and Ekta, thank you very much for making this possible. This week's episode definitely comes to an end just after this little slideshow that we want to show you, Dr. Hiranandani. It is about you. But before that, just wanted to tell everybody else who's tuned in to please keep tuning in. Next Saturday, we'll have another legend, another big personality of real estate coming in Saturday, 4 o'clock. And as we move forward from here, let's look at two quick videos, one that of Sir and one that of our closing video. Thank you very much for spending this time with us, Sir, and the audiences. And you're free to write more questions on our Facebook page, because when this episode gets scanned, it will also go there. Thank you, sir. Any last parting words for this dialogue, sir?
Thank you very much. It was quite enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And let's have the slideshow, please. Thank you very much. With that, we close our show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.